We are Gold Ivy, a health company dedicated to simplifying health and wellness. Tune in as we search to find the deep, real, and raw truth. We're here to talk big, no room for small talk. It is our mission to inspire, seek growth, simplify the action steps, and build confidence.
You decide what works for your daily life and how to transform our lessons into your gold. Are you ready to step into your power? Now is the time. Join us on the fearless pursuit of self-discovery and growth.
This is Ivy Unleashed,
a Gold Ivy production. Something that has made a world of difference for us and many people we know over this past year has been getting our groceries delivered right to our door. The ability to get local, fresh groceries without us having to step foot into a grocery store has been something we are so grateful for. Convenience, price, and quality are extremely important to us, and that's why we love and support INSTACART. INSTACART can deliver to your front door in as little as 1 hour. You can shop multiple stores, see deals in your area to help you save money, and every item is hand-selected by shoppers based on your preferences. To start your 14-day free trial and to get free delivery on your first order over $35, follow the link in the show notes to let Instacart know that we sent you and to help support the show. Instacart, never step foot in a grocery store ever again. And now to today's episode of Ivy Unleashed. Welcome back to Ivy Unleashed. Thank you for joining us today. I feel very honored and privileged to be sitting here next to a marathoner. Brooke Herbert is a marathoner, everybody.
Let's go!
Congratulations.
Thank you. We did the damn thing.
We did. You did. You finished a marathon.
Holy buckets is all I'll say.
How does it feel? You're wearing your finisher shirt, marathon finisher shirt.
It was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Once.
Emphasis on the word once.
No, I say that jokingly, but kind of seriously. Right now, I don't see me doing one anytime soon. Maybe 5 years from now when I'm in better health, I will. It's really hard on the body. And I did it to prove myself that my mind and my body were one, that my body had my back. And so it was an awesome experience, but right now I want to focus on my health again.
Yeah, it's so interesting because if, you're an outsider watching, it looks like a breeze. We're dancing mid-marathon, and then the people that are there know that we're smiling because we're happy to have our supporters. But today what we want to talk about is what the actual experience is like what it feels like to run a marathon, what it's like to sign up for one, what it's like to train for one, what kind of goes into it, because it is an experience. The whole thing is experience. It's a mind game. It's physical, it's mental, it's emotional, it's spiritual. It's a lot.
It's a lot, but it's so cool. And everyone has their reasons for doing it, which I think are really cool. Like some people were pushing other people who were severely handicapped, or, their mother who was ill. And so it's so inspiring to watch. I just got goosies, and I highly recommend it for anyone who's debating it to do it, to have that experience. And I went into it telling myself, you don't have to run the whole thing. And I did, which I was so proud of. But even just telling myself that you can walk at any point, that this is whatever you need it to be. I mean, there was an ending. I think you had 6, 7 hours?
6 or 7 hours. Yeah, there was a max.
Yeah, to complete it. And so you have to run some of it. It's a lot to unpack. And so I'm excited to share with you guys listening, because we had so much of your support throughout the whole thing, messaging us, which was awesome, posting about our training and giving little snippets of what training was like. And so today we really want to dive into what that was like, because we are getting a lot of questions, and we have a very exciting announcement that we'll share at the end of this episode. So if this is a little intriguing to you, if you've ever thought about running one, or you just have some questions and want to know really what a plan would look like, keep listening.
Yes, for sure. And if you are new here, just to give you a little bit of background, marathons are my jam. This is what I do. I'm trying to run a marathon in every state. And so Austin, Texas was my 22nd state and Brooke's first. And so it was a really cool thing to have her sign up. Also, if you're new here, Brooke has been through a lot with her health journey in the last 4 or 5 years. And so to sign up for a marathon was a really big deal. It's a big commitment for anyone, even if you've ran 20. It's a big commitment because it requires some training and mental toughness, grit, time, all of it. I mean, a lot goes into it. And so Brooke and I decided that Austin would be the next one because I have a cousin that lives there. Shout out, Christian. Thank you for hosting us. Oh my gosh.
Saved the trip.
Seriously.
We stayed in just a little side note. We stayed in an Airbnb with 10 of us. We had our family, our significant others, our friends. It was awesome. And it was tiny. It was a frat house on University of Texas campus, literally a frat house. And it was a kitchen, and then on each side of the kitchen was a room. So it was very secluded. You could hear everything. And so Andrea's cousin, Christian, he lives there, and he let us stay at his apartment the night before the race. So we had a nice bed, some peace and quiet, and it was awesome.
Yes.
Because that sleep, highly important.
Yes, super important. So yeah, we decided on that. And then when we did decide on it, we had about 4 to 5 months of like considering it. And then we signed up. So I always like to tell people, it's up to you how long you want to train. Like, I do think that anything's possible. You can push yourself. I've had friends that have joined me last minute in a race and have finished it. And I know people that have trained for a year. And so I do think it's important to kind of assess where you're at, how much have you been running, to even decide like, how much time do I need?
And how much time do you have to put into training?
Right. Yeah. And so Brooke and I sat down and I came up with a marathon training plan for her because she's into strength training. She's into yoga. We both really value a day of rest. And it's kind of like a jigsaw puzzle to put together, but it's important because it needs to be flexible based off of your needs. Brooke got COVID in the midst of this and took her out for a week or two from her goals and her plan. And so marathon training takes a lot of shifting, adapting, listening to your body. So I'm so glad that COVID didn't fully knock you out of it, because it could have.
Yeah, it almost did. Having the support of, more so the accountability of people coming and our flights already booked, our Airbnb already booked. I got over COVID and I had done, I think it was 15 miles. Yeah, 15. And I was starting back at 0. Like 2 weeks, for anyone who's had COVID, like, it takes you out. It's like the flu on steroids, or at least that's how I felt. I had severe muscle aches and fatigue was so bad. And so it was kind of starting my plan over. And typically in a training plan, you want 2-3 weeks before or after you hit your 20 miles. So you want to kind of go backwards after you've gone up to 20.
To 20, taper down.
Yeah, 20 was the longest that I ran. And so I didn't really have that option because I needed to get 20 miles in. And I was running on a treadmill. I trained on tread because it's winter here in Minnesota. So that was brutal and a mind game in itself. But knowing that you had people coming, it was more than just me. And that really helped. Making it a whole event really helped. And, we got a lot of questions that we're going to answer throughout the episode as we share kind of our experience. We got some really good questions around, what did that training look like? How long did you train for? What was the best part? What was your best mile?
What was going on in your head?
Yeah, because every mile is different. I think I experienced every emotion on the spectrum of emotions.
Okay, but before we even get into the marathon, I want, just for people listening that are thinking about signing up for a marathon, let's say it's 4 months. Like those first 2 months of training, what was that like for you to kind of get this plan, put it in action, and like tell yourself, like, I'm doing this? Like, what was that like for you?
Side note, I had trained for a marathon before. I got up to 18 miles and then I had a vein collapse in my leg, which was brutal. And then it was COVID and the race got canceled. Andrea and I were supposed to run Nashville Marathon. And so it was kind of a blessing in disguise that COVID happened and got canceled. And I was out of all physical activity for a year. It was terrible. So this was another like part of training that I was like, is my other leg vein going to collapse? Like, do I have weak legs? My circulation was really bad. And after I would run when I was training for the Nashville one a year ago or 2 years ago now, I had awful GI symptoms. Anyone who has bad GI symptoms when you run, they aggravate the shit out of them, literally. And so when I started training for this marathon, I was like, I don't know how my body is going to handle this. Like, it was kind of just taking a chance and saying, well, we'll see what happens. Again, knowing that I could walk, that I could take it at my own pace. But as I started to run, I felt so good. Up until this point, I had done so much work on my gut, on my healing, on my energy. I knew that pounding electrolytes as I was running. I knew recovery. So I kind of learned from my past training, but also just through all the work I did on my own health, on how to make sure I was keeping myself healthy during this, because it's a lot on your body. But the first 2 months, to answer your question, it didn't really feel real. I love sticking to a plan, and I do really well having a plan in place so that I know what I'm doing. It takes the guesswork out of it, and it makes me more accountable to myself to show up when I know what I'm doing. I have this laid out. So Andrea made me a training plan, and I had yoga in there. I had strength training, and it was a lot of variety. And so the runs, they didn't really feel like a lot. It was, I could listen to music. Time would go by fast. I'd put on a podcast, and then it got to the 10 miles and the 12 miles. And I was like, holy shit, this is a lot on a treadmill. So then I had to get creative on, okay, music isn't doing it anymore. I've gotten in the groove. I've gotten my stride. Now I need to distract my mind. It was hard because when I was training for Nashville, I could run around the lakes in Minnesota. I could, make a different course out of it. And this was just in LA Fitness on a treadmill, staring at the word confidence and goal set and all of these words on the wall and watching other people work out. And so luckily Tony Robbins was having a free seminar during the time when I was doing my 20 miles and my longer miles. And so I just listened to that. I got amped. I was dancing on the treadmill, anything to bring me more energy. And you had mentioned earlier that we looked like we were having fun running, but we know the importance of pumping up your arms, getting the crowd going. And that's something that Andrea told me. She's like, you use that crowd. And so I probably looked like a crazy woman, but I was more into their face than they were cheering me on, because it brought me so much energy. So it was definitely mindset shifts as the training went on for me, and learning how to adapt and make it work for me and not dread it.
Mm-hmm. I think too, there's something about the days leading up to a really long run in your training where you're like, am I going to be able to do that? I've got the time set aside. How's my body feeling? Do I really want to? And you got to think about what you're going to do the night before, what you're going to eat the night before.
What you can't do the night before. You need to sleep.
Yeah. And staying hydrated and so many things. But yeah, I definitely think where we live is a big barrier. Mm-hmm. I've never been so sick and tired of a treadmill before. It never really bothered me that much before. I don't know why this time. I think maybe it was because I had the isolation.
I was going to say quarantine.
I was quarantined for 25 days with my kids. And during that time, my husband was gone, half of them on funnel trips he was having. And so I think I was just needing out of the house and off the treadmill. And so turns out the Austin Marathon is very hilly.
You're telling me.
So hilly, you guys. There's this sign usually that, you hit mile 24. Every mile there's a sign. Mm-hmm. But this one, they had a sign after 25 to let you know there was half a mile left. So obviously this is at 25.7. Mm-hmm. And the reason they have a sign that says 0.5.
I thought they were being nice.
No. They're letting you know that because basically the rest of the race is straight uphill to the very, very end. It was the steepest hill of the entire course.
Austin, mile 26.
Austin, this is not okay. You need to change this. This is mean. It was mean. I was looking at the crowd going up the hill excuse me? Who designed this course?
I was like, tell me it's over soon. Tell me it's close. Tell me I'm close. And they're like, you got it. You didn't come this far to only get this far.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, there's tears. People are on the sides with the paramedics. I'm like, oh God, okay.
But I was thinking though, okay, this is still better than a treadmill. I had been saying during the train, I don't care what hill there is. I don't care. I want some twists. I want some turns. I want to see people. I want to see a tree. I just want to be outside.
Yeah.
Running.
I knew that I thrive in that atmosphere of pushing yourself with people watching. People are taking photos. I'm pretending I'm on the runway, anything to get my mood up and make it a game. But I knew that going from training on a treadmill to outside, it was going to be so nice. It was going to go so fast. And it was so beautiful out.
Yeah.
The sun came out at the perfect time. beside those damn hills, every 5 minutes there was a hill.
Yeah.
Like mile 12 was a hill. We had a friend and husband, boyfriend run up this hill with us on mile 12, and we thought that was the last big hill. No, mile 26. But then it was cool because you came down and you got to see the finish line, and that was a feeling I'll forever have, I think.
Yeah. What's really cool about your experience was Austin is an incredible marathon. Like, it is such a beautiful city. It's great weather. There are so many fans, which makes the course.
Oh, there were so many people.
And live music along the way. I mean, I've ran marathons where there's like 100 people in the race, and it is like a ghost town out there. And so this was so nice. Not only that, but the expo was so fun. And I mean, COVID has kind of shut things down too, but this one was big and fun.
There was 16,000 people that ran the race.
Yes.
So a lot of people.
Yes. It was beautiful. It was so organized. And because of all the marathons I've done, I've seen very unorganized races. I've been a part of them that didn't have enough water stations, didn't have enough volunteers to hand you stuff, or the signage where you don't know which way you're going. Like, Austin was put together so well. So I'm so happy that this is the one that you came to.
Minus the hills. It was everything else. Yeah.
Yes.
It was perfect.
The finish, the very, 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 very end of the finish was cool. Just like the vibe downtown.
It was so long though to get, once you cross the finish line, they had it, because there were so many people. They had it secluded for a while. So they had these rails up for a good,
quarter mile,
a long time, and you picked up your shirt, your finisher shirt, and your snacks. And so it was like all of our friends and family were on the sides, but I couldn't get to them. And Ian and you are like, yeah. And I'm like, how do I get to you? Like, I'm just ready to collapse in your arms or Ian's arms, like whoever I get to first.
Yeah.
So it was cool.
So cool.
It was cool though, because there were so many people that when I came around the corner, everyone's, cheering and taking pictures, and I didn't know where anyone was. And so I'm like, all right, like, just keep going. You don't know who's watching you. I don't know when, who's going to get the shot of me crossing the finish line.
Yeah. So you're running this race. You and I start. We split up pretty quickly because there were so many people. And we'll get to this later because I know there's a question we have from the listeners about why we split up. But just kind of talk us through, your experience, your mind game, what you're feeling when you're running your first marathon.
Holy shit, we're doing this. So I went into it, I've heard Andrea talk about her marathons, and I think I had the perfect situation because I never ran one, so I didn't really know what to expect. It was just like, all right, we're doing this. I didn't know how bad it could be, how bad my body could feel. I knew it would get bad, but I hadn't experienced that yet. So it was kind of going in it blindly to an extent. But I had Andrea's experience. I went to Kentucky with her. I watched it. I knew the energy. I knew kind of like the morning vibe, how to center yourself, and having someone who's ran it with you, the best thing ever. But Andrea, what she does is at the end, she dedicates a mile to someone else. I was like, I love that idea. I need, again, to make a game out of it or something outside of myself. But then I thought, okay, I'm doing this for me. The reason I'm doing this marathon is because I'm pushing my body to show myself that my body has my back, my mind is strong enough to get me through this, and that they're one. So I didn't want to dedicate it to anyone else besides me. And so when I was meditating, I had this download of each mile I'm going to dedicate to getting rid of a self-limiting belief that I had. I wanted to embody the new belief. So what I did was when the next mile came, okay, that's a part of me now. Move on, next one. And so it was fun because I waited. I didn't have any idea of what I would choose. I just kind of went with whatever I felt. And so, for instance, the first one was I'm strong as hell. One was my body and my mind are one. I'm resilient. My legs are sexy and strong. Mile 4, I was healthy, and Andrea's number is 4. And so for whatever reason, I got so emotional. I was just bawling like, I'm healthy. And as I was running the mile, I was just telling myself and looking for all the proof, the evidence I have of why this belief is true. So I did, I'm rich, I'm smart, I'm confident. Ones that really resonate with me of, like I'm worthy, I'm loved. And then getting really specific on why that's true, starting our own company at this age and the relationships that I have and it was really special. And it was something that I just did with myself. And it was once I reached that mile, it was proof that I can do this. All right, next mile. 1 mile I did, I can be present in the moment, and I turned my music off. And one mile I did, I can be where my feet are and just one step after the other. And I focused on just, okay, one foot in front of the other. That trust is something I worked on a lot with Catherine. And so trust was a big one of, I trust myself. I trust my journey. I'm the captain of my own ship. I don't have anxiety. I'm clear-headed.
God, you're such a health coach.
I know.
The people next to her are like, shit, ow.
But it got me to mile 21. And then it was funny because my body gave up before my mind did. And normally I feel like it's the opposite, or at least maybe not for a marathon. But, you know, when you think about exercise, like your mind gives up before you do. And I had amped myself up so much. And then seeing people at the exact time when we needed to see them, it was like, I'm doing this for me. It was like a very intimate 4 hours of just me and myself, like showing like, I got your back. Like, you don't have to worry. We'll get through this. You know, the one that was really hit home was the healthy one for me. And also I'm resilient and that pain is temporary. I kept telling myself, like, this is temporary. There is an end. There's always an end. And you may be sore, but you will bounce back. You have proof that you know what it takes, because I knew that some pain was coming. So it was, I think making it a game was, and having an agenda of what I was going to do during those 4 hours really, really helped.
Yeah. And before the race, Justin was talking to me about, like, because I always say, like, okay, these are good spots for you to be or whatever. And I was like, before I left, I'm like, this is about Brooke. You make sure at 20 or 21, she sees Ian. Like, she has to see him there, because that'll be the last time she sees him. And then he needs to say to her, I will see you at the finish line, because that is so powerful or whatever. Mm-hmm. So it's funny that you said, like, that got you to 21. So you see Ian, and then what happens?
Well, it was nice because so Ian and Justin and our other friends that were with us, they scootered the course. And so I knew the beginning markers, like when I would see them. But then I saw Ian, I don't remember the exact miles. I think it was, I saw him at 21, and then I saw him again at like 23. And then he would be like coming up a hill. So I wasn't expecting it. I would just see him. And I was like, oh, thank God. I'd be like, all right, I could really use you. Like, where are you? And then he would just pop up on his little scooter. And it was like at moments where we were going up a hill, and he'd be like, you got this. And I'd be like, I can't feel my legs. Or I'd be like, I haven't walked yet. Like, I can do this. And he's like, yes, you can. And he didn't need to say anything. It was just the fact that he was there that meant everything. Something also that was really, really cool. If you guys listen to Ivy Unleashed regularly, you know that I am really big into signs. And throughout my journey, I've, listened to Gabby Bernstein, and her thing is ask the universe for a sign to show you that you are on track, that you got this, you're right where you need to be. And so my sign is a cardinal. I see cardinals all over. I ask for them. And so before I even started the race, I was like, all right, Lord, like, give me a cardinal when I need it. Like, I trust you. And I just had this like deep knowing of I would see one. And so we're running, and I think it was at like mile 18, or maybe it was 18 or 19, when like I was still doing pretty good, but like the legs were getting really heavy. And there was all of this awesome like artwork on side of buildings, and there was so much stimulation visually. And there was these big ass red birds, like it was a smoke shop. And so it was these big ass red birds with cigarettes on their beak, and then this huge bird. And I'm like, okay, maybe it's like Andrea and I, are like, maybe this is supposed to be a cardinal, and it's like Andrea and I, and then
Smoking
God,
cigs.
God's like this big red one. And I'm like, no, I'm trying to make this be my sign. It's not my sign. So I'm like, okay, I trust, I'm going to see my sign. And so after 21, after I reached 21, like I totally felt like my stride was different, because my legs were so sore. They were so heavy. And I was like, okay. And all of a sudden, out of the corner of my eye, I see this guy's hat. And it looked like two crosses and a red thing in the middle. And I just knew. And I'm like, no, I think so. And so I got closer, and sure enough, it was a cardinal in this guy's hat. So like, what are the odds that this man is on this corner right when I need him? And so that was really cool. That empowered me. And then my fourth quarter playlist, what I did, Andrea told me about her fourth quarter playlist, and I am pretty sentimental, and I knew that like having emotions, having a reason, and my grandparents' wedding song is Can't Help Falling in Love by Elvis, and the new rendition of it by Haley Reinhart, I think is who it's by. Right after my grandma passed, she came out with this new rendition of it. I was sitting in a building on campus when I was in college right after she passed, and it was in the basement, and all of a sudden the song started playing. And the professor was like, where is that coming from? And it was literally coming from the walls. I can't make this shit up. And my whole body, and I'm bawling. I'm like, I'm sorry. Like, this is just weird. And so that ever since then, like that song is just like, it's got something. It means something to me. And so I played that song, the slow song at mile 24. And I was just bawling. I'm like, Grandma, I'm doing this for you. So that part, it was like kind of outside myself. So using like your emotions to your advantage and knowing like what was really going to get me in those deep feels to push myself through, and then also having your people, huge.
Yeah, I think too, people see this marathon and they're like, wow, 26.2 miles. But it's like, you do so much before then. There's so much like mind game, you have issues with your feet when you're training, or you got to switch out your socks or something because your foot's in pain, or you have a knee issue, or, something happens when you're pushing yourself like this. So getting to the race, like there's a lot that goes into it up to that point. So like the race.
And that's something to celebrate too,
right.
That hard work.
Yeah. I think there's so much grit that you gain up to that point that you're already a badass before you even go. And what's so funny is Brooke and I are starting, right? And we're in this street that is packed full of people, right? And we're like having our moment, and I'm hugging her and I'm telling her like, you've got this. You're going to do this today. Like, you've put in the work. Like, this is going to be incredible. You got this. I can't wait to see it.
I could cry just.
Yeah. So we're having this moment. We're like both getting teary eyed.
She's like, you have everything you need within you. We're both crying. And then
it's time to go. And I'm just, you're looking at your watch because you want to start it, and you're making sure like your belts are good because you got to have all your fuel in there. I zip up my zipper on my fuel pack, and the zipper busts off. Like, it's literally time to start the race. Like, people are moving in front of us.
She's like, Brooke.
I'm like, I need my fuel. It's in there. And she's like, don't open it all the way. My phone's in there.
Well, then we couldn't get it open because it had zipped all the way shut and then broke off. So like trying to put the zipper back on to even open it.
It's all these things happen. Like when she was in Kentucky with me, like, the biggest thing before a race is that you want to take a shit. Like, you don't want to have to go when you're running. And it's so like you're in the bathroom a lot. And then all of a sudden, right, like an hour or two before we have to leave for the race, the
door is jammed.
The door is jammed to our bathroom.
It won't open.
And then like right before we leave for the race, I get my period. It's just like so many things happen when you're a marathoner that that need to go right in order for you to be like in this peaceful Zen spot. And just stuff always happens. It's a test. It's like, how mentally tough are you?
It's such a test.
It is such a test. You need your support crew. You need to ask strangers for things. People on the street are handing you a Kleenex to blow your nose, or little kids are handing you gummy bears because they know they're full of sugar and that's good mid-race.
Or like there's so many signs that were Mario, the little mushroom, and it was like tap for energy, and like, you best believe I'm crossing the whole street just to tap that hand. Or like dogs were raised, like propped up, their owners propped them up to high five the dog. And thank God like people were okay with COVID. Like they're like, it's fine, just give us high fives, because I needed that.
Yes. Yeah. It's so cool. It's such a good experience. I mean, even if you don't want to run a race or you're not physically capable for
you just need some inspiration, just
go watch one.
Yes.
Yeah. It's a beautiful experience. It's really people coming together, a bunch of strangers coming together to support you. I mean, people lose their voices on the sidelines yelling for strangers. It's beautiful. And it's addicting because it's learning what you're capable of every time, even if you've done it more than once. The first one's so special because it is magical, because you see like, wow, I did it. Like I wanted to do this, and it was a lot of work, and there were a lot of things that could have gone wrong and did go wrong, and I still did it, you know? And so I'm super addicted to it.
I think the one thing that may get me to do it again is your body doesn't remember pain. It's going to remember all of the amazing things, the overcoming, the experience. and not the pain. And that's what's going to get me in trouble. So I'm trying to tell myself, because it was, walking around Austin the next 2 days was brutal.
Those scooters were nice.
Yeah. Justin scootered Andrea and I. It was great. Yes. Okay. What was your experience like? So 22.
Yeah. It was a lot less pressure because you were doing it too. Mm-hmm. It was like, I knew I had to.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Like there was no question that I was going to finish it. Cause there's always a question. This one, it was like, no, I got to pull her across it. Like I need to be there to take a video of it. I can't be falling apart anywhere on this course. It was cool because I was just thinking of you and like, this is her first time doing this. And like, how is she doing? And then like asking the people we're with, like, she's good. You guys see her? Like, she's good.
Something that really helped too was two things. Before we parted ways, because Andrea was like, see ya. I'm like, please go. She was like, at any time you're struggling, like envision me pulling you. I have a magnet and I'm pulling you. And so that helped me so much. And then the second thing that really helped was we had an Austin Madness group chat. And so we would respond to each other, or, Andrew would be like, mile 20. And I'd be like, mile 17. I'd be like, I'm coming for you, bitch. And she'd be like, come and get me. And I'm like, not texting. I'm just talking into my Apple Watch. And so I'm like, let's go, effers. And like out loud. And I can't hear myself really because I have my headphones blaring. But you just like don't care what you look like or how you're acting, because people just have mad respect for you even being here and doing this, that it's like in a weird way, this like freedom to really be who you are because you don't have a choice.
Yeah. I feel like it's like a really raw human experience.
Yes.
It's very vulnerable. Like I usually don't stop and go to the bathroom. I had to stop because I had to pee, and I was like, okay, it's going to add minutes to my time. Am I going to qualify for Boston if I stop? But I was like, this is like mile 9. Like I need to pee. So I'm going to just do this now. So that like sucks. But you're like sprinting past people, going to a bathroom, having to tell your people like, get me a tampon, or like, some people are throwing up, and it's like these strangers are there to help you. And there's police officers that are, shutting down streets and getting yelled at by people. And it's just really like people coming together and like really relying on strangers to amp you up or help you if you're hurt. And it's I don't know. I just think there's like nothing like it. I love it so much.
Yeah, that's a really great way to say it. A real, raw, vulnerable experience, especially to people after. Like, I just like, I hurt so bad. Like, I don't know if I can continue. You're fine.
Yeah.
Because you get real sore. I just can't stop thinking about it.
It's like, it's still raw for you, which is great. I'm glad that we're talking about it now. But just to encourage people to like, there are ways like you can really make sure that your body is in tip top shape for this. And there's things you can do after that can really help. Like we didn't go get a massage in Austin right after. Sometimes that really helps people.
We also didn't nap.
Ice.
Which we really wanted to, but because of the good old frat house, it was so loud. There was construction. So that played into it. But we were with such great people and in such a cool city that, I just kept telling myself, like, pain's temporary. Mm-hmm. You're fine. You'll get through this. You've gotten through worse things. But, man, did I have a stick up my ass. Or did it look like I did?
Trying to dance. We actually got on a bar and danced that night. That was fun.
That was really fun. We asked permission. And I think my favorite was just being able to say I ran a marathon.
Yeah.
Like, I don't normally walk like this. I ran a marathon today, okay? We're like, I ran a marathon yesterday. Give me some.
I'm surprised you didn't wear your medal out in Austin.
No, that's aggressive.
I mean, you're kind of an aggressive girl.
Yeah, it wouldn't go well with my outfit.
That's true. Okay, so we are going to take some questions from our listeners and followers. It was really exciting. We put it on our story and said, like, what questions do you have? A bunch of people threw in some questions. So we are going to answer them, and I'm really excited to see what people said. First one I see is, Andrea, do you always try to PR, or do you ever just run the race for fun or with a friend? This is an important question because I always tell anybody that does a race with me, just so you know, like, I hope you don't expect I will not run with you. Whether I'm faster or slower doesn't matter. A marathon is a mind game of you keeping on your pace that you trained at. Sometimes you are in pain. You have to change your pace. Like I had a marathon in Vegas that was terrible, and I ran a lot slower than I normally do because I wasn't feeling right. And so to have to stay with someone that's struggling when you're feeling fine on top of like just trying to get across the finish line. And I do think the marathon is an individual experience. It is an individual training experience. There's no way to have the same experience as someone else. And I think that journey of getting across the finish line is really dependent on you, your body, your brain to get you there. And personally, I do try and PR every race. Like I typically know what I'll probably finish at based off my training. I never really know exactly what's going to happen until I hit 20 because sometimes I'm in a lot of pain and sometimes I feel like Superwoman and I'm flying way faster than I normally run. And so, it is fun for me. Like the reason I do it is because I get such a high from crossing the finish line. It's fun for me to challenge myself. You may think I'm sick in the head, but I like pain. I like to push through pain. I like to get more grit. It helps me in my life to not complain about the dumbest stuff. It makes me think I'm a badass. It gives me a ton of confidence. There's so many things that like, it may not sound like fun to you, but it's fun to me. And so it's always fun. And that's why I wouldn't do it if it wasn't. And then as far as just like running with friends, like I'll sign up with friends, I'll travel with friends, but I will not run with a friend.
I think it's harder to run with someone, just through my experience, because you're trying to make sure you're okay while also making sure the person next to you is okay. And then exactly what you're saying, like some miles you feel on top of the world, some miles you don't. And so then taking into account like their pace, you don't want to hold them back. You think that you'd feed off of each other's energy, but there's so many other people. And then you look forward to when you do see your people. Like then it's a jolt of energy when you do see your people versus like always being next to someone. And yeah, when you finish it on your own, it's such a confidence booster and you get that grit. I just think it'd be more work to worry about someone next to me.
Yeah, but there are people that can. Like Justin's dad did it for me. He would run with me and he was an Ironman and just until recently he's not doing it anymore, but he would run races with me where I would be struggling and he would stay with me. Some people can do it. You know, there's pacers in every marathon that like stay with people. And
I guess it's why you're doing it.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think if you're trying to prove something to yourself, you know, but if you do sign up with a buddy, just know chances are they could be shitting their pants and they don't get to finish. Like you will have to do this potentially on your own.
Yeah. Don't rely on them to finish.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
That's a great question. Thank you for the question. I love it. And
what's next?
I hope to always PR. I'm excited.
There was a sign, multiple, that said PR or ER. Remember that?
Yeah.
So that was also a really great motivation of, all right, I've got two choices. And I kept saying when people were like, what's your goal? I was like, to not end up in the ER. And so then there was that sign and people had the funniest signs. Someone had a sign that said, you're doing this all for a free banana. And oh, that irked the shit out of me. I was like, why? Because now that's what I'm thinking of. I'm really putting myself through this. And I didn't even get a banana.
Yeah.
We did get these sick shirts though. If you're watching on YouTube.
They gave us a lot of cool free stuff.
It was a good race.
All right, next question.
They had to make up for those hills.
Yeah. All right. What mile did it feel the hardest and what mile felt like $1,000,000? Hardest was definitely that last hill for me.
Yeah, but I knew though that the end was so close.
Yeah.
I'd say like 23 or 24 where I was like, shit, I still got 30 minutes of running. Or I think 4 when there was 4 left. So mile 22. So I'm like, that's a lot.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a lot right now, but when you're in it, 4 feels long because you've already ran 22 and that's longer than you ran.
Yeah. I also think there was like kind of a lull in the course.
Yeah.
Wasn't a lot of people.
Well, it's because people die off because they want to go to the finish line. Yeah. So you're kind of on your own for the last few miles.
Yeah. I definitely recommend running with someone who's going to finish before you are because then you know they're waiting for you. Because I was like, I got to finish. And there was people that had signs like, hurry up and finish so we can go get a beer. And I'm like, yes, like I just want to party with my people and hang. Like I was so excited to just have this done with to actually enjoy our trip. Yeah. So that helped get through too.
Yeah.
The vacation destination aspect was a big help.
For me, there was this spot, I think it was around 4 or 5, where you kind of come over this horizon, and the sun was rising.
Yes,
and it was
I know exactly what you're talking
beautiful.
about.
And you could see the whole city, and you're starting to go downhill because you just came up a hill. And it was so beautiful. Like we really, really got blessed with a beautiful sunrise and weather. And the whole race, it was kind of running a little bit away from the city and back to it. So it was really pretty to see and really easy for, I think, spectators to see multiple times too. So I would say 4 was really cool. It was really awesome to have Britt and Justin and other friends run up that hill. 12 sucked with the hill, but it was nice to have friends that were running up the hill.
I was like, they were exactly where we needed them. And luckily, because of you running 22, 21 at the time, you knew the exact spots.
Yeah. Awesome. Great question. All right. Next question. What was the best/worst part of Austin, Texas?
Best part, the live music.
Yeah.
It was so fun. Worst part was probably walking around after. Like, got to be 1 a.m. Monday night. So it wasn't the night of the race. It was the next night. So I was extra sore. And I just had my legs across Ian's lap, and him and Christian and another friend just had their cold beer mugs on my ankles. And Ian kept saying, you know, when you go to the market and you get the ground beef in the tube, like it looks like that tube, because I had the worst cankles. My legs were so swollen. So, and it was just so painful, and my body was just craving sleep, and you're like, on vacation,
no one's gonna
so
run
you
a marathon after hearing you. Like, they're gonna, if you're listening, I hope you have a bottle of water, and every time she says pain, you have to drink some water and get real hydrated.
I guess what I'm trying to say is just prioritize your recovery, or don't walk all day the next day. Like, I think it was good for soreness. Yeah.
I think she had a rougher experience than most, but that's just my opinion with the recovery. Best part of Austin for sure was when we hit some live music on Monday night. Ricky Duran from The Voice, who got runner-up in one of the seasons, was sitting at the bar we were at, and the people that were singing were incredible on their own, but they noticed he was sitting at the bar and called him up to sing. And
Andrea's like, were you on a show? You were on The Voice. And he's like, yep.
It was so cool.
He was
Such
so
a good
good.
singer.
Shout out Ricky.
Yeah, really friendly guy too. I used to feel like people were so friendly. And the tacos in Austin, all of the taco stands, tacos and live music, loved it. I would say the worst part was probably just sleeping with construction. Like, we just were kind of a crappy spot. They were building some like apartment building right next to where we were. So I really have no complaints about Austin though. We had the best Uber drivers that were like rocking out to music and just so friendly and sweet. Random strangers were buying us drinks.
There's such different vibes to everywhere you went. Highly recommend.
Yes. All right. Next question is about training. What was your training schedule? Like, how long before did you start? Did you taper, etc.? So with this, I highly recommend that you work with a professional.
Highly.
To
To
figure this out, because I do think it is an individual experience. You can Google a training plan and it'll be a rough estimate of what will work. The number one key is these long runs. You need to make sure you're hitting your long runs. Some training plans will have you running 6 days a week. I think that's a lot.
That's so much.
And I honestly do think you could get away with a training plan that has 3 days of running. That's my personal opinion. I do it. And I've seen and helped a lot of people experience the same thing. So as far as that goes, I would say and recommend that you give yourself 4 months to 6 months. I don't think you need more than 6 months. And I've very minimally trained before a marathon. It's definitely possible. But if you want to also go in confident and get that mileage, like, I do think those long training runs are important. So,
and it's tough on your body. So I think that's why training is so important. Whether, like my experience, whether you have health issues or not, you're putting your body through something that it's never gone through. Running that long, having to have energy chews to make sure that you're not passing out, that you are staying hydrated, even just getting in the stride of knowing what it's like to be running for that long, even if you do walk. It's so important. And what I loved about my training schedule was because Andrea did it for me, because she knew my schedule, what worked, when I could do my long runs, I could do yoga, I could do strength training, which helped me so much. Because if you run 6 days a week, you're burning yourself out. injuries. I talked to so many clients too about the importance of strength training that they found with running races so that they don't get injured. Yoga, because you are so sore. So having someone plan it for you so it works with your schedule so it doesn't seem like so much.
Yeah.
And two, if you fall off, having someone to talk to throughout the process is important too.
Yeah, and you should probably have about 3 weeks to taper from your longest run, which will be somewhere between 19 to 22 miles based off your training plan. So you can always shoot us messages and talk to us about this. We could talk about this all day long. All right, and we have time for one more question. Last one, training plan and how you actually finish without wanting to quit. But you're probably always going to want to quit. Like most marathons, like I can't imagine not wanting to quit. Like part of you wants to quit. Your body is like, we're done. Can we be done?
I think having things to look forward to, like anything in life, right? Having your people at the finish line, knowing that at those hard miles, you're going to see people, knowing that you get to do something exciting after you work so hard, practicing that self-talk that you're going to use, huge.
Yeah.
And knowing, okay, what are these limiting beliefs that are going to come up in my head? How can I combat those? And then having your people, so important.
Yes, for sure. Yeah, it's lonely if you don't. Like I've done some marathons where, it was really hard to see you in Kentucky because we were in the middle of this huge, what was it?
Park.
We were in the middle of this huge park that was like, there was no spot for Brooke to go for a lot of it. Very isolating. And so I think choosing a marathon that feels right for you. It feels like the right amount of people. Your people can be there. And like we said before, it won't be just like you show up to a race and you don't know what you're doing. You will have trained for this. So we want to talk to you about something that we are going to be offering, and it is customized marathon training plans and calls. So we always offer health coaching, so you can sign up for one of our packages online at any point. We are also now having a special on customized marathon training plans.
We got so many messages on how are you training? What is this looking like? What do you recommend? That we saw a need for it. And me running my first one saw how important it is to have a schedule, to have someone to talk to work with. Not only physically how to train your body, but mentally how to train your body. It's
how to fuel, what you need
game.
to wear, different suggestions for what you'll be wearing, how you'll be fueling, how you'll be hydrating, what to eat the night before. And I just... we want you to feel like we are with you. Like you're not alone in this. It's kind of like an isolating thing to be like, how do I even do this? I want to talk with you about your schedule, what you want your week to look like, what kind of variety you want, what you have going on with your schedule, with work, with family. I mean, it's tough to find these pockets of time. So that's why coaching's available with it. And so it's kind of a big puzzle to put together, and a lot of questions come up as you're training. Things happen. And I've ran 22 of these. I kind of know what I'm doing. I've hit some walls. I've had some injuries. I've had to troubleshoot. I've had to change my shoes. I've had to change a lot of things. And so I'm here for you, and I'm so excited to offer this.
It's going to be amazing because I couldn't have done it without her. Like I said earlier, it is mental, it is physical. Having someone by your side to know you're not alone to do something this amazing. Like, I don't think it's really sunk in that I accomplished this. Like,
I can tell. I feel like you were like, I'm like, you're a marathoner. You're like, am I?
It took so much training, so much work, but it was so worth it. Like, I am so happy I did it. But I couldn't have done it if I didn't have those, 4 to 6 months to mentally and physically prepare. So we saw the need for training plans, but also the coaching part. So if you want someone with you in the process, Andrea, clearly this is her jam, and we're so excited to have her offer this to you guys. So we'll have 2 options for you guys. If you're interested in running a marathon, listen up. We'll have a customized plan, and then we'll have another option where it'll be a customized plan plus coaching. So if you're interested, head over to our website and you can check it out. We'll also be posting about it on our socials, and you know how to reach us. You can message us on socials. You can email us at info@goldivyhealthco. And this is Andrew's jam.
Yes. Sometimes we put these ceilings on ourselves that really limit our abilities, really limit what we're capable of doing. And I do think that with the right coach and training and proper hydration and fueling, that you can run a marathon too. And I would love to be a part of that for you. I would love to talk about your schedule. I would love to help you cross the finish line. It would be the joy of my life. So do it for you and do it for me.
I went from barely being able to get out of bed to running a marathon with her help. And so if I can do it, you guys can do it too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much for joining us in this awesome conversation. Brooke, congratulations on running marathon.
Thank you.
I'm so proud of you. I'm so happy I was there to witness that and see you cross that finish line. It was one of the joys of my life.
Oh.
I'm so proud of you.
Oh.
Yes. And if anybody listening knows of a friend, a family member, someone that would want to run a marathon, please share this episode with them so they can hear us, see if we would be a good fit for them, if they could get inspired by this. Join us somewhere. If anybody just wants to run with us, we'll let you know what state we're doing next.
Andrea. Maybe. Never say never.
April 23rd, 2022, I will be running in Kansas. So let me know if anybody wants to do a road trip to Kansas or meet us there. It'd be fun.
Yes. You can do anything you set your mind to.
That's right.
All right. As always, we're going to leave you with a piece of gold. This piece of gold comes from T.S. Eliot. They say, only those who risk going too far can possibly find out how far one can go.
This is Gold Ivy signing off.
Listen to your truth and go chase your gold.